Turkey is an unclean bird, and it's among the birds we are told not to eat in Leviticus chapter 11. In Leviticus chapter 11, we are told of the birds and other creatures that are unclean that we are not supposed to eat, and the ones that we are supposed to eat. Before we go into Leviticus chapter 11, take a good look at this picture. This is a picture of a turkey, and please take a good look at the head of this turkey. You can see that it has a red head, which is a typical of every other turkey out there, because turkeys usually their heads are usually red, and they usually have a bald head, like you can see on this turkey. And here is another picture, a picture of another turkey. You can see it's the same thing, has a red head and a bald head. And here is a picture of another turkey, same thing. So this is your average turkey. This is what a turkey looks like: bald head, a red head, and a bald head. Now here's a picture of a vulture. Take a good look at this picture. This is a vulture that you're looking at in this picture. Now I know you're wondering at this time you're probably wondering, what the hell does a vulture have to do with a turkey? Well, take a good look at the head of this vulture. You can see that it has a red head and a bald head. There's no hair in the head of this turkey, and it's basically identical with this vulture is identical with the turkeys you saw on those pictures. They are basically of the same family. They are the same thing. Turkeys and vultures are of the same kind. They are, turkey is a turkey, a vulture is a vulture, but they are of the same kind. That's why they look identical in terms of their physical feature, in terms of their head, and they look the same. So let's go to Leviticus chapter 11 from verse 13 to 19 is where you will find the commandment about clean and unclean birds, the ones that we're supposed to eat and the ones that we're not supposed to eat. And Leviticus chapter 11 from verse 13 to 19 lists the names of the birds that we cannot eat, birds that are unclean. But of course, in Leviticus chapter 11 from verse 13 to 19, the names of birds that you read in that verses, they are not the names of all the birds in the world. No, they are not. What the Most High did is that he chose certain birds like eagle, like vulture, like kite, like pelican. He chose them and then said, do not eat this bird. Don't eat them, and don't eat any other bird that looks like them after their kind. So if you look, you're going to see after its kind. If you look at Leviticus 11 verse 13, it says, and these you shall regard as an abomination among the birds. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination: the eagle, the vulture, the buzzard, the kite, the falcon after its kind. And it goes on and on and on and on. So we are not supposed to eat these birds and after their kind, and every other bird that looks like them. We're not supposed to eat that. Let me give you an example. A pigeon and a dove is of the same kind. A pigeon is a pigeon. Here's a picture of a pigeon. A dove is a dove, and here's a picture of a dove. But they are of the same kind. And a good example of this is in Leviticus chapter 12 verse 8. In Leviticus chapter 12, when a woman after childbirth, when a woman after giving birth, there's a number of days that she's supposed to be unclean. And at the end of that number of days, she's supposed to come to the temple with a sacrifice for her, for an offering, to offer an offering, so that she can become clean again, because she's unclean. Now she's supposed to bring a lamb, but the Most High says that if she cannot afford a lamb, she can also bring in 2 doves or 2 pigeons. This is Leviticus chapter 11, verse Leviticus chapter 12, verse 8. So she can either bring in 2 doves or 2 pigeons, and that will be fine for her sacrifice, for her to become clean again. So doves and pigeons are of the same kind, and they look alike, just like turkey and vulture are of the same kind. They are of the same family, as you can see in the pictures. And in Leviticus chapter 11, verse 13, the Most High tells us that we are not supposed to eat vultures and after their kind. So not just vultures, but any other bird that is of the family of vultures after their kind. So vultures and turkeys are clearly of the same family, of the same kind, and this is the reason why we are not supposed to eat turkeys, because they are an unclean bird. They are unclean, and we are not supposed to eat that. So if you look at in Leviticus chapter 11, verse 9, the Most High tells us what we can eat in the ocean and the things that we cannot eat. He says whatever has fins and scales in the ocean, we can eat that. But anything that does not have fins and scales, we cannot eat that. It's an unclean to us. We're not supposed to eat that. So that includes shrimp, lobster, shark, and what every other creatures in the ocean. If it does not have fins and scales, it's unclean. We cannot eat that. And the reason why he narrows it down this way is because there are thousands of creatures in the ocean. There's no way all their names will be fitted into the Bible. That is why the Most High chose, he simply says, anything that has fins and scales, you can eat. Whatever has no fins and scales, you cannot eat that. It's unclean. It's exactly the same thing he did with the birds. So if you read in Leviticus chapter 11, verse 13 to verse 19, it's the same thing. That's the reason why you're not going to find the word turkey or chicken in that verses verse 13 to verse 19. But what he did is that he chose specific birds, and he said, do not eat these birds and after their kind. Don't eat eagle and after its kind. Don't eat kite and after its kind. Don't eat a pelican and after its kind. And certainly don't eat a vulture and after its kind. So vultures and turkeys, they are of the same kind, and we are not supposed to eat it because it's an unclean bird. If you would like more information about this, we have other videos in this channel.